So I noticed an increased interest in high-end dongle DACs or portable DAC/headphone amplifiers, and today I decided to review the Shanling UA5. This is a $235 dongle DAC made by Shanling with high-res decoding abilities up to 32 bits and 768 kHz. Or DSD 512. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably know that I care much less about the high-resolution decoding abilities, since most music you're going to listen to will most probably be either FLAC or Tidal or supposedly YouTube. And I'm much more interested about how something sounds like with headphones, what the driving powers are, and here is where Shanling UA5 shines. This is a really diminutive unit, like you can approximate the size of it. It has one Type-C USB input, although it works with both Android smartphones and iOS iPhones, and it has two headphone outputs, one in the 3.5mm single-ended format and one in the 4.4mm balanced format. It has a fully balanced architecture inside, and when you plug headphones is when you really realize why they priced it so steeply, because $235 is a bit steep compared to the market, and why you would want this. To skip ahead the other construction parts, it has a really delightful sound. The UA5 is one of the thickest, smoothest and bassiest sounding dongle DACs out there. It's like it really showers you with bass. It's like it can go so low and such a nice amount of impact, and it's just surprising. It's really surprising. Shanling introduced a hybrid mode in it. Basically, it has a little battery inside and it can function while both drawing some current from your smartphone and using some of its battery. You cannot really turn it on while it is turned off, so the battery doesn't really exist to fully power it, but rather it is a battery that helps filter the current that goes inside of it so that it sounds better. I didn't really notice much of a difference, but truth be said, I am always using high quality cables and such, so that may come in handy for some, especially if your smartphone has a dirty Type-C output or if you use it with a desktop computer. I have tried it with my desktop computer in the back and it has worked quite well. It sounds quite nice. I did not notice a big difference between using it with computers or with Android smartphones, and testing it with iOS was not possible because neither me or my girlfriend own an iOS iPhone. The maximum driving power of the UA5 is quite high. It can drive about the same headphones that Lotto Pro S2 is able to drive, so it is one of those very powerful mini portable dongle DACs, but it can grow quite warm during usage. It will not be the coolest running of DAC/headphone amplifiers out there. It has a very tiny OLED display here, which you can barely see, and usually you just use it to configure the UA5. It has a volume wheel which can be used at any moment to increase or decrease the volume. It has its own internal volume, so the volume wheel doesn't change the volume of the smartphone or of your Windows machine. It has its own internal volume. That is something to appreciate, because usually you leave the digital volume or the computer and Android volume at maximum and use this volume regulator to increase or decrease the volume. That way you aren't cutting bits of information from your song. Using digital volumes usually tends to lower the resolution and the overall quality of the music. So UA5 is able to drive both balanced and single-ended headphones, and I noticed that it has a slightly better sound with balanced headphones. It is able to use the dual DAC inside, and you can actually configure that if you prefer to use just one DAC and if you prefer to use it in lower gain modes, so that you have better battery life of your smartphone and of your setup. All in all, the sound is just nice. It's a neat kind of sound. It's intimate in the sense that it brings voices forward to you, so you always feel that the singer is sitting very close to you, but at the same time the bass is extremely pleasing. It's like a really smooth, really liquid, really fluid kind of bass that really envelops the entire stage. It's like the bass is everywhere, it is punchy, it is impactful, and it has outstanding dynamics. It is useful up to about 80 to 90% of the volume, after which it's not quite as controlled and it gets a bit V-shaped, but I noticed that this effect happens with basically every single source out there. So players, DAC amps, everything that is not a super high-end source will have this effect to some degree. The UA5 is pleasing, that much is clear. It is fun to use. It is tiny, it is convenient to attach to your smartphone. You just would use a cable, and as you can see, it is quite convenient. It is not very large and it is quite light too. There is a case available which should help avoid scratches, but this unit has been taken outdoors I've used it to take photos for the full written review and the b-rolls that you are seeing, and it didn't gather any scratches. Notice some comments on some of my videos that some products do have smudges on them or scratches, and that is not my fault. I am a normal user. I am a slightly harsher user, but I am supposed to show you those things. So if something gathers fingerprints or dust just by being here in the video, as all products are cleaned before taking the videos, it means that that product is going to gather scratches, smudges, and fingerprints instantly as it enters your home. So please take that into account. Avoid products that have scratches or fingerprints or dust on them in my videos if you are allergic to that kind of thing. So if you are really sensitive to details, especially aesthetical details, you should keep that in mind. This thing is pretty solid. The display does gather a bit of smudging, but the metal is good. No scratches, everything is working as day one. And I've used it quite a bit because it has quite a bit of driving power. It connects instantly to my computer and is convenient to have on the desk. To be honest, for the past month, I've also used the Shanling M3 Ultra. So it was a Shanling kind of month this month. I have reviewed all of the other products that I had in queue. So right now I am doing those Shanling products. So for some reason I found them on my desk and I kept using them. They are convenient. I can easily grab them and I can easily test them. You know, before making a video review and before making a full written review, I have to listen to everything for a while so that I know how they sound, so that I can provide you with reliable info. That would explain why some products get mentioned a lot throughout my reviews, both written and video, in certain periods of the year. So when it's like in December, it was an iBaso kind of month or a Tempotech kind of month. And right now it is a Shanling kind of month for the sources, at least so far. Shanling, pleasing, tiny, comfortable to use. Not the most interesting of portable DAC headphone amplifiers. Like, it isn't the highest end of product that Shanling has to offer, but for a portable, it is among the best. The other two good dongles are either Lotop OS2 or Questyle M15. Those two are like the other really good sounding ones. Those three are like the best sounding dongle DAC/headphone amplifiers. Shanling UA5 is the thickest, the smoothest, and the most powerful sounding of them all. It also has the most intimate sounding mid-range, so the mid-range is brought very close to you, and the soundstage is somewhat around your head. It is not very expansive, but it is expansive enough to not make music boring or feel congested. It has good instrument separation, and in general it is very pleasing to use. I hope that this video has been pleasing to watch. I hope you'll consider watching other videos on Audiophile Heaven. Also, don't forget to leave a like, to share this video, to subscribe to Audiophile Heaven, to donate a dime if you have one to spare. Also, it really helps me to use the Amazon links in the video description when ordering those. Sometimes the products are not available on Amazon, but trust me, you really want the warranty that comes from Amazon. So I had this thing where I was using a graphics card that I just purchased in Romania. It was a gigabyte 4080 card to accelerate my entire editing process, and it died. It randomly died after about 2 or 3 times being used. And this happened in January of 2023, and trust me, it is not a great way to start the year. And I had purchased that locally because a graphic card is something that I thought isn't going to break, and the whole service process is kind of complicated. So when you can purchase from a store that has really easy and fast service process, usually Amazon has the best overall process. Like, they really helped me out when I had problems and when I purchased from them. I do purchase from Amazon usually, but on Amazon.de or Deutschland, which I can use in Europe, some products are just not available or are extremely expensive compared to the Amazon.com or even local companies. So that explains why sometimes I am ordering things locally. You have to save some pennies sometimes. At any rate, I thank you so much for watching. I hope you will have a great experience. I hope you won't get into any of those troubles, and I hope we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye.